Well, this is the data transmission system from transmitter to receiver. The binary digits encoded into line code waveforms will be transmitted along this line, and they are being corrupted by noise. Those waveforms are corrupted by noise, additive white Gaussian noise. We assume this noise to be. And on the receiver side, we'll be having several blocks. And finally, this is called matched filter. Matched filter output is denoted as R naught of T, and it is sampled at suitable instant of time, and the sampled value is denoted as R naught T naught, or simply R naught. And that R naught is compared with some threshold Vt. If this R naught input is less than Vt, then the decision will be in favor of 0. If R naught is greater than Vt, then the decision will be in favor of bit value 1. That is what we have seen, right? And same thing, same with reference to this block diagram only. We are having several these several notations: S of t, R of t, R naught of t, R naught of t naught, and finally M tilde, like that. All of them mathematically can be written like this. So the transmitted signal is taking one of these waveforms, either plus A volts or 0 volts or plus A volts minus A volts in the given time interval 0 to T or T to 2T, like that. And the receiver is receiving corrupted signal. So R of T is what receiver sees, not S of T. And from this R of T, it has to figure out what is S of T, what is being transmitted. Right, matched filter principle we have not yet studied, but suppose its output is R0 of T, right? R0 of T is R not 1 like S1. This O stands for output of matched filter. 1 stands for 1 bit, 2 stands for another bit. So it is either R01 of T or R0 of T in the given bit interval. Now, this matched filter output we are sampling just like we have shown in the previous slide. And after sampling, this is what we will be having, right, for bit 1 and bit 0. Now, as this sampled version is representing some numbers whose values will be taken at random. We can denote this R0 of T0 by dropping T0 notation simply by R0 or R0, right? And as a result, this R0 can be considered as a random variable, and this random variable is taking one of the two values, noisy values. These are not strict scalars equal to particular value, but they are values in and around certain value, right? If it is polar, then this will be around plus 5 volts, and this will be around minus 5 volts. Okay, it can be 5.1 volts or 4.7 volts or 3.2 volts or 2.2 volts, like that, and this can be minus 4.7, minus 5.3, or like that. Okay, so this is a random variable. This is a random variable. So this is called R0 is called test statistic. Similarly, the input or the output of the transmitter can also be written as S01 and S02. As a result, altogether we can write the test statistic as S0 plus N0, where S0 is the transmitted statistic values, S01, S02. One of them, this will be taken. This will be taking one of those two values, and N0 is equally affecting both the bits and both the waveforms. So N0 is just N0 only. We don't write any N01 or N02. Is this clear? So R0 is actually S0 plus N0. Okay, fine. This R0 we are giving as input to the threshold device, right? And this threshold device is producing M cap. Now, to determine Vt, we need to do some derivation part which need certain RVSP concepts like total probability theorem and Bayes theorem, like that. Let us revise those things first in this slide. This I have not discussed in the last class. Please listen carefully. Theorem of total probability. What it says that if you have a sample space divided into mutually exclusive regions like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. 6 regions are there. These regions are satisfying certain properties. The union of all these regions is exactly equal to yes, and there is no intersection. And AI is not a null set, right? So if I cannot include here A7, which is not existing, right? Which is not part of yes. So we have here 6 sub-regions which are completely enclosed by this yes. They are mutually exclusive, but because the intersection area is it is a null set, right? Now imagine that there is some sub-region, subset B, denoted by B. And this B is overlapping with already existing mutually exclusive regions. A1 overlapping is this, A4 overlapping is this, A3, A6. And so B is having overlapping with some of the subregions, and it doesn't have any overlapping with some other subregions. Anyway, we are supposed to find out what is the probability of occurrence of B, right? So this is, you can consider it as an event, and what is the probability of occurrence of this event B out of S, right? And S is having several points. This is a point, 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 and this is a point, this is a point. Now, what do you understand here? Suppose this point is the outcome of an experiment. Then we can say event A1 has occurred, but it doesn't ensure B, the occurrence of B, right? So A1 occurrence of E1, A1 does not always guarantee that the occurrence of B, even though there is overlapping, right? Similarly, suppose this is the outcome of some experiment, which is coming out of S, sample space. And this indicates the occurrence of A4, but it doesn't indicate the occurrence of B event, right? We can say B has occurred only when the outcome is coming out of these overlapping regions. Okay, so now B can occur either by the occurrence of A1, occurrence of A4, or the occurrence of A3 or A6, or this particular thing, right? So if we want to calculate the probability, first of all, we should know whether, suppose if A5 is occurred, A5 occurred, then we are damn sure that B has not occurred, because they are mutually exclusive. A5 is here, B is here, there is no overlapping. So whenever A5 occurs, it doesn't mean B has occurred. Okay. So the probability of occurrence of B can be calculated uh, looking at this Venn diagram, that B is actually the intersection of A1, A2, so on and so forth, whatever regions it is overlapping with. And then the probability of B is the probability of intersection regions, sum of the probabilities of intersection regions. And this is according to Bayes' theorem, it is actually probability of B intersection AI is equal to probability of B given AI into probability of AI itself, right, for all I. As a result, probability of B, the total probability of occurrence of B is this summation that we can write using this summation notation. This we are going to use extensively, right? And if the probability density is given, as we mentioned already, probability of occurrence of X with a particular value 1 or small x is given by integrating the probability density Px of x, Px of x from minus infinity to that particular value of x, like 1, right? So it is dx. These are some basics we should know before we proceed to the derivation of probability of error. And let us proceed from here. And this diagram I have already explained. Right here, let us see what is happening. Okay, suppose, yeah, this. Uh, 1 second. suppose we are talking about unipolar NRZ. So this is A equal to 5 volts, right? So for a particular bit value, right, this is the stream of bits transmitted. Something like this. Okay, these are the stream of bits transmitted, and this is supposed to be, while transmitting, this will be transmitted as 5 volts. This is transmitted as 0 volts. This is transmitted as 5 volts. 5 volts. So you can, right? So this is 5 volts. This is 0 volts. This is again 5 volts. All are in voltages. Okay, these are volts. Now, while receiving, this is something else, right? Noise is, suppose it can be 4.7 volts, and this is 0.3 volts, and this is 5.2 volts, and this is like minus 0.7 volts. Sorry, it is bit 1, so it is supposed to be 3.9 volts. Noise is heavy, like that it is happening. Let us consider this bit, this particular bit, 4.7 as threshold. We already intuitively mentioned that the intuitive selection of threshold is in the halfway mark between 0 and 5, so it has to be 2.5 volts. This is VT, right? And 4.7 is somewhere here. Does it indicate any error? No, right? This doesn't contribute any error as this value is greater than threshold, and the decision will be in favor of 1 only. Suppose we are at this instant, the bit value is 1. Because of noise, we are receiving only 2.3 volts. Okay, 2.3 volts is here. So this is the voltage. Now, as threshold, as this value is less than threshold, the decision will be in favor of 0. Okay, it will be identified as bit 0 instead of bit 1. Now, what is the error? How do you calculate error? Error is the error is occurring because this PDF, this conditional PDF, extending over here like this. It is coming. It is becoming to the region which is to the left side of the threshold. So obviously, the value of error is calculated by integrating this portion, right? And how do you integrate this portion? So it is f of R0 given S1 integrated. From where to where we are supposed to integrate? From minus infinity. Gaussian pulse, they will be there from minus infinity to plus infinity, no matter how insignificant its value becomes. So it is minus infinity to Vt. This is one aspect. Another aspect is that suppose we are having a 0 bit 0, and suppose that bit 0 is this, and because of heavy noise, suppose it is receiver is looking at a value, voltage value equal to suppose 2.7 or 2.8 volts. Okay, and where is 2.8? Sorry. Where is 2.8 volts? Here we will be having 2.8 volts. Yeah, here we are having 2.8 volts. And as this value is greater than threshold, receiver makes a mistake as that bit is actually, it is 1, but actually the bit is 0. Right? And why the receiver is making this mistake? Because the density function corresponding to bit 0 has appearing to the right side of the threshold value. So that the possible amount of error we can calculate, we can obtain by finding the area of this portion. Right? This is the region we want to, the area of this region we want to find. And how do we find the area of this region? Area of this region is obtained by integrating f this density R0 given S2. Let us integrate. It is now what are the integration limits? Integration limits are from Vt. This is where we have started counting the area. So Vt to infinity. So Vt to infinity. Now the question is that we don't know the probability of occurrence of these bits. This is binary data. So there is a possibility that S1 occurs and the occurrence of S1 and occurrence of S2 may be quite different, but generally it will be they will be equally probable considered as 1 by 2. But in general, this may be having a probability of occurrence S1 and this is having probability of occurrence S2, right? And what we have calculated essentially here, we have calculated here probability of S1. And how do you denote this integration? Integration is that probability of R naught given S1 plus this is probability of S2 that itself, and thus integration is indicating another probability R0 plus S2. And these are giving us the error probability, so we can denote it as PG, right? So this gives us the total error probability, right? And this is very helpful. And to understand this, we need that total probability formula. Just now we have seen in the previous slide that the total probability is equal to sum of the product of priori probabilities and the conditional probability values. Let us start understand them in the context of this. So probability of error given S1 cent is this. You know why the limits are like this. The limits are like this. Just now I have explained. This is Vt, not Vr, right? The limits are like this. You know why, the reason. And probability of error given S2 is cent is this. And the total probability is according to total probability theorem is this expression. Substituting over there, it is probability of error S1 cent into probability of S1, probability of error S2 cent into probability of S2 cent. Now substituting those integrations is this, the expression we get. Now listen carefully, we are going to solve these integrations and substitute over here, right? But first of all, we should know what are these density functions. Any guess what these density functions are? Right, let us see. So this is the expression we are talking about. First of all, this probability and this probability, they can be in general anything, but for simplicity, we consider them as they are equiprobables. The symbols are, or the bits are equiprobable. And these density functions, as we have already explained, always the noise is the total noise, the cumulative effect of all types of noises modeled by Gaussian noise. So these density functions will have Gaussian expression like this. What do you understand from this expression? This is the mean and this is the standard deviation, isn't it? This is the mean of Gaussian. This is the standard deviation of Gaussian. So obviously the Gaussian pulse of this will be centered at S01. This is S01, right? Similarly, this is the mean and this is the standard deviation of this one. Okay, what do you observe here? What we observe here is their means only differing. The standard deviations is same for both the conditional densities. So they look exactly identical. Suppose it is a unipolar RZ, then one pulse is occurring at 0, its mean with 0, and another Gaussian pulse is occurring with mean S01. So this is a 0, it is S02, this is S01, isn't it? Right? Now let us substitute them in the very first expression, first equation. So it is 1 by 2 in minus infinity to Vt that entire expression we have substituted. Now how do you solve this? How do you get the integration of this? So for that we make certain assumptions. Let us suppose in the first integration lambda equal to minus of whatever you have here, r0 minus s01 by sigma naught, and as well here also lambda equal to, okay, here we have our assumption is along with the negative sign. Here our assumption is with only positive sign, without any negative sign. Now how do you do? We make all the substitutions like d delta. Let us differentiate, and that is going to be that is going to be minus 1 by sigma naught d r naught, right? So here we are having sigma naught, here we are having dr naught. If we want to represent this entire integration in terms of lambda, this is the integration variable, right? Now once we make these substitutions, the integration turns into, the integration variable changes to lambda, right? So these two are to be together replaced by minus delta. That is fine. Next, let us see what is the upper limit is going to be. Upper limit is going to be the lambda upper limit is, it is minus Vt. In place of R naught, we substitute whatever upper limit this integration is having, S01 divided by sigma naught. Now what? Lower limit. Lower limit is equal to lambda lower limit is, you are substituting minus infinity in place of this, that becomes minus of minus infinity something, whatever you are having here by sigma naught, that is S01 suppose. This becomes equal to plus infinity, right? So actually now you are getting in integration from plus infinity to minus some expression, minus Vt by S01 divided by sigma naught, and this is you are having negative sign, you will be getting negative sign because of this. Okay, d lambda, that expression, and d lambda. Okay, now I can interchange the lower and upper limit so that this sign changes to positive. Similar explanation can be given over here also. As a result, we will be getting the integrations lambda as its integration variable like this. Do you have any problem in understanding this, students? 402, A section 402. Allam Setti. 403 Amireddy. 4 Ravi. 5 Narendra. Please speak out if you don't understand this. So I will again explain what is happening here. Our dr naught by dr is replaced by dr naught is replaced by, one second, dr by sigma naught is replaced by minus d lambda. Is this understood? Here we are having d lambda in place of dr naught by sigma naught, right? So as a result, it is supposed to be minus delta, minus d lambda. Okay, and the lower limit is plus infinity, upper limit is minus of Vt minus S01 divided by sigma naught. Now what I do interchanging the limits minus Vt minus S01 by sigma naught infinity. When you interchange the limits of integration, the integration sign changes, and here we will having one minus, and here already we are having another minus. These two gets cancelled, so this is what we are having, right? And this expression is replaced by lambda square. So in total we are having this, and the second integration is this. Now this integration has got a special name, q of z. This q of z is called complementary error function, right? What is q? Please respond. Q is complementary error function. Narendra 405, are you there? Aradhula. Akansha. Yeah, who is that?
406, sir.
Yeah. Do you understand this? The entire slide, content of this slide?
I'm not sure about it, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Do you want me to repeat?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. So, are you sure about this expression?
Yes, sir.
No problem. Yeah, if any of you are having any doubt, I will take up again. So we have two Gaussian pulses. One is this, another is this. The standard deviation of both these Gaussian pulses are identical. So both are having standard deviation of both of them is equal to sigma naught only. But this yellow Gaussian is having its mean value equal to 0, right? And this blue one is having its mean equal to some A volts or S01, right? And here S02 is 0, so that is why this is S01, right? So we are having two Gaussian pulses, both having same standard deviation sigma naught, and their mean values are different. One is having 0, another one is having S01. But to speak in more general, it is S02 and this is S01, right? And what is the Gaussian function expression? It is very popular. Everybody should know that, right? So this is Gaussian. It is like if you are not getting that, this is in general, if x is Gaussian random variable, it is square root of 2 pi sigma e power minus x minus mu whole square by 2 sigma square. This is Gaussian PDF. Okay, if this is Gaussian PDF, our PDFs are conditional PDFs. One is conditioned on S1, another one is conditioned on S2. So the two corresponding Gaussian PDFs are denoted like this, as both are having standard deviation equal to sigma naught. Here we are getting sigma naught square, and the mean value of first Gaussian is S01, and mean value of second Gaussian is S02. The expressions are like this. Then we are substituting over here total probability formula, right? And we are supposed to now solve these two integrations so that we can obtain what is the optimal threshold value ultimately at the end of this class. Okay, so to solve these two integrations, we are making some substitutions, and that substitution is this lambda. Okay, we are just turning this integration into an integration variable lambda, that's all. And how do you do that? Okay, I will completely do one integration, you will understand the next one, right? So this is the substitution, d lambda equal to, I am doing it again, d lambda equal to minus 1 by sigma naught dr naught. So from this dr naught equal to, uh, 1 second, dr naught by sigma naught equal to minus d lambda. And the story is regarding here upper limit and lower limit. So how do you get upper limit of lambda? Upper limit of lambda is, it is minus Vt S01 divided by sigma naught. Lower limit is, it is minus infinity S01 divided by sigma naught. This is plus infinity only, right? Then let us substitute all these things over here, all the four expressions, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first integration. So it becomes, I write here, it becomes plus infinity minus Vt by S01 divided by sigma naught. We get only 2 pi and then e power minus lambda square by 2 into minus d lambda. Is this understood? This expression is lambda, that 2 writing outside, that becomes, that ratio becomes lambda square by 2. Here dr naught by sigma naught is minus d lambda, and the lower limits, upper limits are like this. Then what? Then let us interchange these limits. Always the integration supposed to be from lower value to higher value. Integration from left to right we always does. As these two are interchanged, the sign of the entire integration changes, right? And here what do we have? Minus 1 by square root of 2 pi e power minus lambda square by 2, and already we are having d lambda, right? Then what follows? Then it is minus Vt by S01 sigma naught plus infinity, that 1 by square root of 2 pi e power minus lambda square by 2 d lambda. Do you still have any doubt what happened to this negative sign? This negative sign multiplied by this negative sign becomes positive. There is no negative minus here, right? Now this is what we are having. Is that clear? Aradhla, roll number 6. Six. Five, Narendra. Shiva Narendra. Ravi. Amireddy.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Chapan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shall I continue? Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We proceed from here. So I hope this is visible, both the integrations, and anywhere you find this kind of integration with zero mean unit variance. Okay, what is sigma here? 1. 1 means the variance or standard deviation is equal to 1. What is the mean of this Gaussian expression? It is 0. So whenever you
Sir?
integrate a univariate, yeah, I take 5 minutes. Whenever we integrate a univariate zero mean Gaussian from a value up to infinity, then that will be considered as the complementary error function, right? So we are having this. We want to find the threshold voltage, right? We want to find the threshold voltage at which this
Sir,
gets
I have
minimized.
doubts.
Yeah.
Sir, how we get e power minus lambda square by 2, sir? Actually, we are assuming lambda equal to minus of r naught minus s01 by less sigma naught, sir.
Square it on both sides. Minus a square is plus.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. Proceed.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So our ultimate aim is to find VT at which PE becomes minimum. PE becomes minimum. And how do you get that? You know, in basic mathematics, if you want to find the minimum maximum, that particular function has to be differentiated with the particular variable and equated to 0. Same thing we will be doing here also. To find the value of Vt at which PE gets minimized, differentiate it with respect to that Vt. Okay, so this is the expression. Here we have not substituted anything. We are not at solving. Earlier slide we have expressed this in terms of complementary error function. Okay, and this is having some solution. We use that solution. We are not solving this integration explicitly. Okay, this slide motivation is that writing this equation in terms of complementary error functions. That's all. Okay, and complementary error functions are being already solved. We make use of those solutions. We are not explicitly solving them. So let us do it. Let us find the Vt at which PE gets minimized by differentiating it with respect to Vt. So this is a definite integration. When you differentiate it, it becomes only this much, right? In place of R naught, substitute Vt. Okay, so equate it to 0. This expression, if you still can't understand, what shall I explain here? Suppose you are having f of x and you are integrating it from 0 to a, right, with respect to x. If I differentiate it with respect to a, this is supposed to be a function of a, and that function of a is going to be f of a minus f of 0. And f of 0 is constant, so it will be vanished. What you get is only f of a. Here minus infinity we are having that. Okay, so here we'll be getting only this expression. Now let us solve it for Vt. Okay, all the common terms you take it left side, right side, cancel all the common terms, and we are having exponents here so that the exponents can be equated. When exponents are equated, the Vt is obtained as this expression. Is this okay? Again, showing the previous slide. Okay, this is what we are having. We are differentiating the probability of error with respect to Vt because we want to minimize this PE with respect to Vt. That is why we are differentiating with respect to Vt. There are a lot many things are available on the right hand side like sigma naught, R naught, S01, like that. Why we are differentiating with only Vt? Because we want to minimize error with respect to Vt only. We want to find suitable Vt. That is why differentiation is with respect to Vt. And right hand side expression becomes this. That is equated to 0. And simple simplifications gives us Vt equal to S01 plus S02 by 2. And this is actually the true also. Our intuition also tells the same. Like unipolar NRZ, we mentioned that if it is S01 is A volts and S02 is 0 volts, we thought that the threshold should be equal to a by 2, and here according to this formula also a is a plus 0 by 2, that is a by 2. Similarly, if you are having polar nrz, one is plus a and another one is minus a volts, and we assume that the best possible threshold value is 0, and this formula also giving us the same thing. Okay, plus minus a by 2, that is equal to 0 volts. Okay, so this is an optimum or optimal threshold value, right, that we can obtain, and it is based on what value you are transmitting for bit 1 as well as for bit 0. Now let us substitute this in the earlier expression. Here we got one expression for PE in terms of complementary error function, which is in terms of VT, right? This is S01, this is sigma naught VT. Here we are having minus VT, here we are having plus VT. Is that fine? So with the help of this, we can make substitutions, and substitution tells us that probability of error is the complementary error function. What is the argument of complementary error function? This S01 minus S02 by 2 sigma naught. The same thing we can write in terms of square root, and you may argue why is it necessary to write like this under square root. There is a reason which you will understand in the next classes. Okay, we want to express in terms of energies or powers. So the standard form of energy can be obtained by writing it like this, under square root whole square by 4 sigma square. Okay, let us learn more about this complementary error function. Suppose this is a Gaussian function. Okay, this expression where its mean is 0 and standard deviation is 1. Okay, now z is anywhere from minus infinity to plus infinity. This z can be anywhere, and this axis is x, and z is one particular value of x, right? And that particular value can be anywhere. Suppose it is here, then what this integration is doing? Integration is trying to find out the area of this shaded region, right? Suppose it is some value, it is certain value, it is taking certain value. Suppose z is over here, this is 0. Okay, now what we have done, z is more far from 0, its mean value, right? It is we have shifted z towards right side. Then what this integration is doing? Integration is calculating this area of this region, shaded region. Now my question is, what is happening to area as z is increasing? You are increasing z, right? From here to here, z has increased. As z increases, area is increasing or decreasing? Answers please, quick.
Decreasing, sir.
Obviously it decreases, right? So if I ask what is this function, is it monotonically increasing, monotonically decreasing? What this function is? This function, the complementary error function, is a monotonically decreasing function of z. Okay, whatever lower limit of integration is there, whatever location you are concentrating upon, as that increases, the complementary error function value decreases. It is a monotonically decreasing function. The value of q of z decreases as k increases. Sorry, this is not k, this is z, right? As z increases. Okay, but we are having the probability of error expression in terms that that kind of complementary error function. So if I want to minimize this, what I am supposed to do? I am supposed to, answer is there in the slide itself. If I want to minimize the probability of error, we are supposed to maximize this argument. Okay, so this argument is nothing but z. What is z? Z is S01 minus S02 by sigma naught. Here you are able to tell immediately that as z increases, q is decreasing. As q decreases, probability of error also decreases. So when the q decreases, when this is maximum. So our entire job is to maximize this ratio. Are you able to follow? And
Yes, sir.
one more point, I conclude this class. If I want to maximize this ratio, is it possible to maximize this by decreasing sigma naught? Quick. I need a quick answer. It's a yes or
Yes,
no.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Theoretically, looking at this expression, we know that when denominator is decreased, ratio increases. But actually, in practice, what is this sigma naught? Sigma naught is the standard deviation of the noise. And what type of noise is that? Channel noise. Do we have any control over channel? No, absolutely no. Right? So sigma naught, we cannot modify that. So how do you maximize this? Only by increasing the numerator. How do you increase numerator? By increasing the difference, by maximizing this difference. Is that clear? So this is the situation where the probability of error can be minimized by increasing the difference signal S01 minus S02. Okay, S01 is the representation we are using to represent the value assigned for bit 1, and S02 is the value in volts that is being assigned to bit 0. Okay, so this is how the first thing the threshold voltage is calculated. Threshold voltage is determined. It is the average of the voltages used to represent bit 1, bit 0. And next, this is how the probability of error. We can talk about probability of error, whether when it will get minimized, when it will get maximized, and what we need to do if we want to minimize that probability of error. Are you able to follow this? Okay. So now this optimal threshold will definitely minimize the probability of error, but that is still not sufficient. We need to go for some other methods that we will discuss later on. But before you come back to next class, please do this homework. And what is this homework? I have uploaded notes for both unit 2 as well as unit 3. You just refer this PDF unit 3 notes, which is being already uploaded. And there are 5 problems. You solve, there are many problems in that notes, solved problems. You practice first 5 problems that are being there in the pages from 2 to 5. Are you okay with this? I am giving this homework thinking that it is easy. You have already studied random variable stochastic processing. It's only probability theory only. If you look at the notes or refer the notes, then you will immediately understand. Problem as well as solution is available. Is this okay? I hope you don't find any difficulty in understanding those problems and practicing them. I stop recording and I will download the